next session. In this session, with us is Dr. Kirti Jain, Associate Professor at NIIT University, Nimrana. Welcome, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Kirti Verma is working as Associate Professor.
So, Kirti Jain.
Kirti Jain, sorry, madam. Kirti Jain is working as Associate Professor in the Department of Basic and Applied Science. She has done PhD, MSc in Mathematics. Her area of interest are operational research, research methodology, engineering mathematics, with specialization in design of experiments. She has published more than 20 papers in research in reputed journals as well as conferences. She has conducted many workshops on SPSS and other tools. She was awarded Best Faculty Award by Delhi Business School in 2009. On behalf of UGC-HRDC and all the participants, madam, we all welcome you and thank you for sparing some time for us. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm glad to have this session with all of you. So, as sir already told me that we have to take a session on SPSS. So today what I'm going to do is I will first introduce you what is exactly SPSS, what is the interface of SPSS, and then we will also see some basics of statistics which you have to you have to keep in mind when you are applying you're doing data analysis using SPSS. So okay, my screen is visible, I hope.
Yes, madam.
Okay, so let me first introduce what exactly it looks like, SPSS, and then I will move to the real platform. So this is just a PPT. So before starting, let me tell you that earlier SPSS was an individual identity, and nowadays, from 2009 onwards, IBM has purchased this SPSS. So now SPSS is known as IBM SPSS. So whatever version you are having, the basics will remain same. So every time, after every 6 months or a year, you will have a new version of SPSS, but the basic things will remain same. Base SPSS will remain same. So if you see that latest version of SPSS, which was announced or published in June 2020, and this is version 27. So what I am doing here, I will show you the basic screen of SPSS and the basic things which will never change, whatever be the version you are having. Okay. So you can see on the screen that this is our first screen of SPSS. Okay. There you will find two tabs. This is data tab and this is variable view. Data view and variable view. So now here, whatever data you want to include here, fine, whatever things you want to write it down here in SPSS, that you need to write down in this tab, fine, in this data view. And the information about the variable, if you can see that this first row represents the variables only. Like in Excel, there is no column or no row for variable names, but in SPSS, you will find that there is one tab which is of different color than rest of the other cells. So this first tab is basically to write down the variable names. But the thing is this, if you're talking about Excel, you can directly click on this and you can write down whatever you want to write down, whatever variable name you want to write down. But in SPSS, things are little different. Here, if you want to add the data, means if you want to add any information in a row, then this view will work. In this view, you can write down the information of each and every row. But if you want to write down the variable names and the properties of the variable, then you have to work in variable view. You can see here, we just have this variable view now. Fine. So in variable view, you will find the tab will, the window will look like this. Okay. So here you have various variables which are already defined. Now these variables are actually the properties or the attributes of your one particular variable. Like for example, if I am having a variable like identity number, okay, identity number. So identity number will be the name. Then identity number will be let's suppose a numeric thing. Okay, so that we need to select in type. Type will help us to find out whether the thing which you are writing in this particular, under this particular variable, is numeric or a string. So whatever it is, accordingly you need to select the option from type. Then width. Then width will be the number of letters which you are going to write down in this particular column. And if suppose this is numeric, this identity number is numeric, so obviously it is not an integer, it will be an integer thing or alphanumeric thing, so decimal number is not required. But if suppose I'm writing here like length of something, so length could be in decimals, price could be in decimals. So there we have facilitated up to which number you want to keep decimal values, like 4 digits, 2 digits, or whatever you want. If you want to remove, by default it will show you 2 digits, but if you want to remove, you can even remove it to 0. Then there is next fifth tab is level. So please, all of you, if you have any doubt, anything you want to ask, just you can either raise your hands or you can ask me at any point of time. So next, just a minute. Yes. So next is levels. This levels is very much important. Why it is important? Because whenever you are working in SPSS file or any file, not even SPSS, but any file, then always you have to keep a catalog, or you must have information about your variables. Like if I'm writing here name or identity number, तो किसका identity number है ये, किसका name है? Fine. If the same sheet is going to be used by you after 2 months or 2 years, then it will be difficult for you to remember what exactly is, what exactly is this particular variable is. ये जो name लिखा है किसका name है, name of a student, name of employee, name of an individual, kiska number, name of a patient. So to describe the information about this particular variable, we have to use this command, this column which is known as label. So in label, you need to give information about the variable, so that even if you are going to see it after some time, or maybe your same sheet is used by someone else, he can easily understand what exactly is this particular variable. Because whenever we do data analysis, we need to keep variable names as short as possible. Fine. If you are going to keep long variable names, then it will be a problem for you also to understand, and also data analysis will be confusing. So always you need to keep short variable names, but in label you can describe the features of your variable. Then you have this values. This values is very important, because if you know, when we do data entry, sometimes it is difficult. Like if we are talking about Excel, so in Excel, simply what you need to do, you let me share the Excel sheet also, then it will be easy to compare. Just a minute. Okay, my screen is visible. Excel sheet is visible.
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So we can see in Excel, if I'm going to write something here, like for example, if I'm writing numbers, fine. So whenever I'm going to rewrite it in the same column, like I'm going to write numbers, this Excel will automatically help us to rewrite it. Or sometimes if suppose I'm writing it in small letters, it will automatically convert to original value. So this facility is available in Excel. In many ways, Excel is even better than other, technical data analytic tools, even from SPSS. So what I want to say here, when we are talking about this values help us to write down the codes of the codes of the variables. Like for example, for if you are considering an example of gender. Okay, so for gender, if we are going to take notations like M stands for male and F stands for female. Fine. So there is no need to change every time. I mean to write down every time. Simply you can write M. M automatically considered to be male. F automatically be considered for female. Like another example. For example, I am writing religion. So for religion, if suppose I'm quoting one as Hindu, two as Muslim, three as Sikh, and four as Christian. So every time there is no need to write the complete Hindu, Muslim, Sikh. You can simply give codes 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the key of these codes will be where you will find these key of the codes. The key of the codes we will find in values. Okay, so you can see this tab here, values. Values is basically to write down the key of these codes. Okay, then missing value. So missing value is not always required because it's not necessary that always every time you will have missing value in your data. Sometimes you have complete values also. So this is not too important. Then columns. Now there is a small difference between width and column. Width means how many letters you want to write in a cell in this particular variable, under this particular variable, and column will decide the exact width of your cell, that how wide you have to keep your cell. Then we have alignment, whether you want to keep left, right, or middle alignment. For numeric values, usually we prefer right alignment. For string things, we used to prefer left alignment. And if suppose you have a table which you want to design, so sometimes we can even consider middle alignment. So that totally depends on you, that which alignment you want to prefer for your data. But by default, for a string, always it is left aligned, and for numeric thing, it is always right aligned. Okay. Then we have measures. Now this measure is very much important. Why it is important? Because the purpose of SPS is basically to do data analysis. Why we are writing this data, or we are having this data in SPSS? Because we want to do some data analysis. If we don't want data analysis, we can simply keep this data into Excel sheet or a spreadsheet or text format. But since we want to do some data analysis, that's why we are having this SPSS. So whenever we apply any statistical tool on any variable, you need to understand the type of variable, and accordingly you need to select the type of variable. So that I am going to elaborate in detail in later session. I mean in later slides. So next we can see here, this is the toolbar of the SPSS, basic toolbar of SPSS. So basically the full form of SPSS is statistical package for social sciences. SPSS is popularly used in data analysis in any field, like whether it is research of any subject like management, humanities, or even you can have usage of SPSS in computers. So wherever you are doing research, you have to use this statistical package of social sciences. But by the name itself, you can understand this package was first designed for the social science purpose only, research for social sciences. Now we can see, like in normal Word form file or in Excel sheet, we can see we have some basic tools or basic, tabs in the toolbar. So here also in SPSS we have some elements or in toolbar: file, then edit, view. Now file is for saving the data, for importing or exporting the data, for opening a new file. So this command, this tab file is very similar to what we have in Excel or we are having in Word. Then in edit. So in edit view, you will find multiple options which will help you to edit your variables, edit your data. Fine. In view, you can have multiple ways of identifying the or seeing the data. So transform, okay, this data is for exploring or for doing analysis things with data. To explore the data, you can use this data command. Then we have transform. Transform command is very much useful because sometimes we have to change the variables, existing variables, in different format. Like for example, you're having data of distance and you're having data of time. Now you want to add a new variable by the name speed. So you can make a new variable in your sheet by the name speed, and you can put some formula to calculate that. So all these things, putting formula, creating new variable in the existing file, this can be done using this transform, though we will have several other options under this command. Then analysis. This is the most important feature of SPSS. Here in analysis, you will find list of all the methods, tools and techniques of statistics which are provided. Now, when you are having only base version of base version of SPSS, you will have specific things or specific tools of statistics. But if you want to purchase, like if you are going to do time series analysis, you can purchase some package separately for time series analysis for predictions. If you are you want to do some bootstrapping, for that also you can have a separate package. So in base package, some by default or some tools which are very basic are always available. Apart from that, if you want some specific tools, you can purchase those packages separately. Then we have graphs. So graphs and analysis are, both of them are very important. Even through analysis, we can directly make graphs. But if you want to make graphs directly, no analysis we want, then we can use this graph tab. Then utilities, windows and help. These are not too important. Help is just to, if you are stuck in some command, then this will help you. Window can change the look of your window. Utility again is not too important. Now, when you will see the first look of SPSS, you will also find these tabs on the home page or the first screen of SPSS. So this folder is to open the file. Okay, whatever file is, if SPSS file is saved in your account, in your any of the folder, you can open it from here. This is to save the existing file, the file which you have opened. If you want to save it, you can use this. Then this command is particularly for printing. If you directly want to print the screen of SPSS window, you can use this. Then this is for search. If you want to search something, some variable name, or you want to search some row or column, for that we have to use this search. Then we have this 1, 2, 3, you can see this tab. So this tab is basically to simply write down the numericals. Then this tab will fix the values in rows and columns. This will help you to create mathematical formulas. Fine. Then this is for transformation, and you can see there are several other tabs which are not disable here, sorry, enable here. So basically these are for undo, for redo, for making graphs, fine, for sorting, for finding. This one is for finding. This one is to see the rows, to see the columns, to split the file. If you have a single file, you want to split it into two parts, you can use this command, I mean this tab directly. Then I will come to this one. This one is very much important. Like as I already told you that sometimes we don't write the complete name of the variables, but we write down the codes. So to see the actual values of the codes, we have to use this command. Okay. So then, now let us take an example. Let's suppose you are having a research problem, attitude of the parents towards the education system in India. Okay. So for this, first we have to design a questionnaire. And for this questionnaire, you must have in this questionnaire, you must have some questions. So like, for example, for this particular research, I have these many questions like identification number, attitude towards elders, attitude towards society, attitude towards teachers. So like this, we have approximately 11 questions in this questionnaire. So now the most important thing which you have to remember here is what is the type of variable. Accordingly, you can transfer your data in the SPSS sheet. So for that, what we require here, you need to recode the data and you need to make some coding for the variables. So to make it more clear, let me take this example. Here what happens, we are having age of the individual. Fine. So as you know, statistics help us to group the data also. Like if suppose there are 2000 people and we are having data of 2000 people and age of an individual is with us. Okay, age of an individual is with us. So you can imagine it is very difficult to remember that how many people are between age group 20 to 30 or 30 to 40 or 40 to 50 or who are more than 60. So it's really very difficult to understand or to remember. So what we are doing here, we are just simply converting this age, which is a numeric variable, into a categorical variable. How we are converting it into numeric to categorical? By defining the intervals. So what categories we are making here? You can see here we are considering less than 20, this will be age group 1, then 20 to 30, this will be age group 2, 30 to 40, it will be 3, then this is 4, 5 and 6. Okay, now these codes we have prepared and there is no need to write, consider the original age, neither there is need to write down the category every time. Simply we have to write down these codes in SPSS and they will automatically convert the data into this numeric data into categorical data. Then you can see ranking of the data. Okay, so sometimes numeric data is directly not useful. You have to rank the data. So you can see here, this data is of study hours, number of hours which an individual spends on study. So you can see here, the data is, you know, a person is spending only 5 hours, other person is spending 40 hours per week, a person is spending 11 hours per week, 35 hours per week. So we can see that again the problem here in this data is we are having data of an individual. So it is difficult to recall the data. So what we are going to do here, we will convert this data into from numeric to categorical data, but this data will be ordinal. Here we are going to provide rank. Fine. So if you remember, like we can see here in the last case, when we are talking about this data, here also we can see if I'm giving code to 1, and let's suppose there is a person whose age is less than 20 years, and I'm giving code 1. So it's clear that this person is younger than person of category 4 or 5 or 3. If there is a person who is suppose 50 years old, so he will be in this 5th category. So it is clear to us that if he is in 5th category, it means he is older than rest of the others who are in 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th category, but these people are younger than the last category. Okay, so this type of data is considered to be ordinal data. Ordinal data is also a type of categorical data. So here also we can see that we are going to rank this data on the basis of number of hours. Now it depends on you, the researcher, whether you want to give rank in increasing order or decreasing order. Like it's your choice. You can give first rank to the one who is having least number of study hours, or it's your choice. You can even give rank 1 to an individual who is spending maximum hours. Okay, and at the same time, if suppose you can see these two people are spending same number of hours, so here you will provide them same rank. Then you can see here for the attitude, for this research attitude, the one which we were talking about, attitude towards elder, attitude towards teachers, what we are doing, we have assigned the variable names in very simple words like attribute 1, attribute 2, attribute 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you remember, if you see here that the name of the entire variable is attitude towards elders, attitude towards society, attitude towards teacher. But when we are writing the variable names, we are not writing them like this. We are just writing the some codes or short forms of these attributes, like attribute 1, attribute 2, attribute 3. So what is this attribute 1? It is attribute towards elders. This is attribute towards attitude towards society. This is attitude towards parents. So like this we have the entire list. And when we are getting these numbers, so these numbers are maybe Likert scale. Like we have a Likert scale in statistics. So this Likert scale maximum classification you can do 11 here, but minimum we can have 3. Most popular scaling is 5. So like for example, here at center we are considering neutral. Neutral means neither strongly agreed nor disagreed. Then on both sides of this central value we can have 2 more intervals, 2 here and 2 here. So this is the specialty of Likert scale, that there are always odd number of scaling. You can't have 2, 4 or 6, always odd numbers, and in center you have to keep neutral thing. Okay, so like for example, for this attitude we are considering a scale like very good attitude, very good, and here I am considering this one is simply good, this is neutral, this is poor, and this is very poor. Okay, so now again this is my choice, the choice of the investigator or the person who is designing this attribute, this questionnaire, that whether he wants to give 1 to this or this. If a person is very good, you can give him 5 marks or 1 marks. It's your choice, increasing or decreasing. So this is 1. For good we are considering 2, for neutral we are considering 3, for poor we are considering 4, and for very poor we are considering 5. Okay, so now every time there is no need to write very poor, good or neutral. we need to write simply the codes of these values. Okay, so when we are going to prepare the data sheet here, we simply need to write the codes. So let's suppose one stands for very good. So here for this particular respondent, whoever is this, for this particular respondent, his attitude is neutral for elders, but it is very good for society. And you can see it is 4 here, so we can say poor towards teachers, and whatever be the fourth variable there is. So again, it is very good, it is very poor, this stands for very good, this stands for very poor. Okay, so how, this is the way how we can read this data. Then for every row, for every row as well as for every column, you can find out the average value which will represent, like for example, if I'm going to find out average of this could be 4 or 2. Fine, sometimes even you can have 3.5, 3.4. So usually in Likert scale, for average we prefer median, not mean. For finding the central value, we prefer median, not mean for Likert scale. Then now let us move to a real sheet, then we will come back to this PPT. So if you can see my screen, here on the screen you can see I am having this SPSS 24th version. So the latest one is 27, but I am having this 24th version of SPSS. Okay, so the screen which you are seeing here, this is data view. And when I'm going to click on this, here you will find variable view. Okay, this is data view, this is variable view. Now, in data view, you can see these all the cells, like this particular cell is disabled. You can't write anything in this cell. You can write from here. Like for example, I'm writing name. So name is Ram. Then I'm writing Geeta. I'm writing another name. This is Geeta. Okay, why it is showing error? Because by default it will consider only first 3 values. So we have to write down names where only we have 3 values, Ria, Sia, fine. But now if you want to increase the number of letters which we want to put here, for that we have to move to variable view. But before that, let me first describe this also. So when we are writing the values of a particular variable, you can see by default it will consider it as variable 00001 00001. If I'm going to write some value here like 23, let us suppose I'm writing age, so by default it will consider it as variable var, then 4 times 0 and 2. Fine, this is by default values. Now by default values are not advisable, because then it will be confusion and SPSS will deal it itself. Like in this case, I have just take the first name of 3 letters, that is why it is not allowing others to be more than 3. Here by default this is a numeric value, so by default it is considering as 2 decimal places. But you know, age we don't want to have in decimal places, we want an integer to define age. So to make changes, what we need to do, we need to move to variable view. See, this is data view, and here when you will click on this is variable view. Now let's suppose first variable name is name. Simply I want to write down the name. Second variable I want to write down age. Third variable I want to write down gender. Fourth I want to write down, suppose, qualification. Fifth I want to write down, suppose, religion. Sorry, this is name, then qualification, then we want to write down, suppose religion. We want to write down their location. Fine. Now, by default, this SPSS will consider most of the variable names as numeric. Okay. But every time it is not numeric, as you know. Like for example, name. Name is not a numeric thing. Name must be in strings. So when you will click on this, when you will find 3 dots, when you will click on any column, you will find 3 dots. Okay. So when you will click on these 3 dots, you will find the variable types here. Fine. So like for example, if it is a numeric variable, age is a numeric variable, you can click on this. But since this I opened for name is a string thing. So we need to select this radio button. Okay. So I just selected this one. Now if you see, one more thing is there. Characters. Characters means how many letters you want to keep in name. So usually name is not a 3-letter word. नेम तो आपका 15 वर्ड्स का 20 वर्ड का भी हो सकता है. So you need to identify that what is the maximum number. So tentatively we can write it should be more than 15 words, or sorry, it should be up to 15 words. So when I will write 15 here and OK, now you can see the width is changed. And if I'm going back to this data view, now if I want to write Geeta Singh, okay, so you can see I am able to write here. Now let's suppose I want to write Geeta Pratap Singh. Okay, so you can see this, since we put the restriction that this width should be up to 15 numbers, so 15 letters. So you can see in Riya we have 3, in Pratap we have 6, in Singh we have 4. So total 13, and you can see there is 2 gaps also, space, 1 space, 2 space. So we have 15. So now if you want to increase, you can simply change here. So instead of 15, I want 20 letters. So when I'm going to write 20, now it will allow me to write further letters. Riya Pratap Singh. If suppose I have another name, for example, Anurag Kumar Verma. Fine. So you can write the complete name. Now the problem is this name is very big and we are having a very small space. Fine. You can see we are unable to see the entire name. Only first 2 words are visible. Rest we are unable to see. So for that, what we can do, we will go back to variable view, and here you can see we have columns. So in columns you can increase. Like for example, if I'm going to put 20 here and going back to the names, you can see now the breadth of the column is increased up to 20. Okay. I hope this is clear. Yes, please. Is there any doubt?
No, ma'am. Clear.
Fine, madam.
Fine. So please be comfortable at any point of time. If you find any doubt, you can ask. Okay, now I'm going back to variable view. So since this is a string thing, name is a string, so there is no use of variable. So we will keep it as 0. Then we have to come to label. Now what is this label? Name. I just write down here name. ये किसका नेम है? अगर मैं भूल जाती हूँ 2 महीने बाद या 2 साल के बाद, अगर मैं ये फाइल फिर से देखती हूँ या फिर मेरी सेम फाइल में किसी और को फॉरवर्ड करती हूँ, तो कैसे पता चलेगा ये किसका नेम है? Fine. So if you want to give any information about this variable, that you can write down here. Like for example, I'm writing name of the participant of SPSS workshop. Okay, so even if I'm going to see this after 10 years or 2 years, or I'm going to forward it to someone else, he will automatically see the levels and he will understand, okay, this is the name of the participants. then obviously age of the participant, then gender. So whatever information you want to give about a particular variable, that information you can keep here. Okay, now since the entire thing is not visible, so you can drag this towards right. You can see whatever you are writing here. Okay, so only rest of the things are short, only this level thing is little long, so you can increase or decrease the size as per your requirement. Fine, so for this you just need to drag it like this. Okay, then we have values. Now name is an individual thing. ठीक है, नेम को आप कोड नहीं कर सकते हैं. जैसे राम है तो वो राम ही रहेगा, राम को हम 1 2 3 नहीं बोल सकते हैं. ठीक है, अगर हम रोल नंबर्स भी देंगे तो रोल नंबर्स भी ऐसा नहीं है कि यू विल हैव मल्टीपल पीपल ऑन रोल नंबर 1. Fine. It's not like that we have 5 people with roll number 1, 2 people with roll number 2. No, it is not like this. So usually इस तरीके के जो variables होते हैं, we don't put any value in such variables. Then missing numbers. So missing values are usually when we have some missing values in data, but here we are not considering that. So this will remain as it is. By default, it is none. So we can keep it as it is. Then you can see alignment. So as I told you that when you are having strings, by default alignment is always left. So if you see the data view, you can see data view. So we can see name is started from here, Ram. It is not started from this point. It is starting from left. If you are going to change this, like if I want the name should be right aligned, you can see the names will be like this. Okay, so this is your choice. You are free to use any of the format, but the feasible format or we can say the preferred format is left alignment for string digits, string data, string variables, and for numeric variables, it is by default right. But if you want to change it center, it's your choice. Then for string, by default, this will consider it as nominal data. You can see by default string values are always nominal. Okay, so we are not going to change it, we will keep it nominal. Now I am going to tell you the difference between nominal, ordinal and numeric data, which is very much important for data analysis. Then type of data, whether it is an output data or input data. So usually when we are adding data into the screen or into the spreadsheet or Excel sheet or SPSS sheet, it is input data. So by default it will remain input. But let's suppose you are having, suppose here one more data like distance traveled. Let's suppose this data is of athletes who are having some race. So we may have distance data, we may have time data. Okay, now I want to find out speed of the individual. So for that, now speed by default it will consider as input, but since we know this is a output data, so we can consider it as target. So usually, actually, you can see there are multiple options here. So these options are applicable when you are doing data analysis, when you are creating some models of regression models or any other type of models, then only you require these options. But by default, we consider it as input. Now, we can see that this first column is now fine. First variable, which is name of the participants who are attending workshop of SPSS. Now let us see another thing, which is age. Okay, now we can see age is a numeric thing. Fine, age must be 40 years, 25 years, 10 years, 16 years. So it must be a numeric thing. So by default, when you are writing age, it will consider it as numeric. Okay, then in fact, by default value is always numeric. Always SPSS consider it as numeric. But if it is string, like in first case, by default it is numeric, but since it was a string, so I changed here to string. So here also you can see you have multiple options. Like sometimes we are writing price, fees paid by an individual. So that could be in dollars. Okay, that sometimes we are using some scientific notations that we can select, in that case we can select this one. Sometimes we are using numericals, but we have some restrictions that these numericals are starting from 0, reading 0. So you can select this, but most common options are string and numeric. Numeric is for numerical value and string is for any type of character value, like for example name. If you're writing id sometime alphanumeric, like for example id enrollment number of a student, right? Let me write down here enrollment and enrollment number. Now one more thing before telling this, I want to tell you that in SPSS, if you want to write down two words in a variable name, there are two methods. Either you can simply write down in continuation enrollment number, or if you want to keep distance, you have to put underscore. Fine. You can't write them giving a space. If you are going to put space between the two words, it will not consider it. It will show you illegal character. So space is not allowed in variable names. But if you want to keep two words in a variable name, like enrollment number, so instead of a space, we can use underscore and you can write number. Okay. Now enrollment number is an alphanumeric thing, so we can consider it as a string. Okay. So I'm going back to age. So age is a numeric thing, and now since we know age could be only in two numbers. Hardly we will having human beings who are having age more than 99 years. So in that case, if you want, you can keep even 3 digits, but usually we have age up to 2 digits. Fine. So I'm just changing it to 2 digits. Then now you can ask me that by default it is considered 8. Why to change this? Why we are making it 2? We can keep it as 8. Yes, definitely we can keep it as 8. But in that case, sometimes if we will do errors, I'm sorry, why it is showing? Okay, it is showing error because we have not changed this to decimal place. Fine. Now, if I want to put that age must be in 2 digits, then we can't put decimal places because we can't have person whose age is 0.23, 0.53. So decimal place will be 0 here. So to make it 0, what we have to do? Just click on this. Either you can remove whatever there is and you can rewrite the number which you want, or you can even use these buttons. Like if you want to increase or decrease, you can change from here. So it's your choice, whatever way you want. I want to keep a zero decimal place. So I'm putting 0 here. Now my question was, by default it was 8. So why can't we leave it as 8? So definitely it is your choice. If you want to keep it as 8, you can keep it. But sometimes what happens when we do data entry, and while data entry, sometimes we made mistake. And गलती से suppose मैंने यहाँ लिख दिया 230. तो ये तो read कर लेगा because 8 digits are allowed here. Fine. So to avoid these types of mistakes, what we can do, we can restrict this number to only 2 numbers. So when we are writing 2 here, age, fine. Now, just a minute, age, width is 2. So when I am writing age here, like 2, 3, 4. Just a minute. एज तो इसको 2 डिजिट्स तक ही एक्सेप्ट करना था, ये क्यों ज्यादा कर रहा है? ओके, here also I have to make change. Okay, maybe there is some error, but the thing is this: if we are going to restrict this to up to 2, so you are not allowed to write down more than 2 numbers here. Okay, 2 digits. Now I want to write down age. So age could be in months, age could be in years, age could be from some specific date. So that details we can mention here. Like for example, here age is from in years. Okay, and sometimes when you know that in some forms, when we fill some forms, there is restriction like age on 1st July or on 1st January. So if you have some constraints like this, that also you can mention here. Fine. Now again, age is a numeric thing, so value is not required here. Value is required when you are doing coding. Okay. Then missing value, again not required. Column, by default it is 8. So sometimes in age we can reduce this size, but you can see that if we are going to reduce this, then the look of the table is not too good. So by default it is 8. Keep it to 8, but if really you want to include more variables on one sheet, you can change the column size according to your requirement. Now you can see age is a numeric thing. So by default, alignment is right. We can see this is written towards right. But if you want to change it central, you can change to center. When I'm changing it to center, now you can see age you will find in center. Okay. So for numeric value, by default, it is right alignment. But if you want to change, you can change. Now SPSS is confused whether this is a now this is a numeric thing. So SPSS is confused whether it is nominal, ordinal, or scale. Fine. Numeric numbers could be ordinal, could be nominal, could be scale. So when the SPSS is confused, in that case, by default value, you will not find any by default value. Like in first case, by default, it was a string, so by default it considered it nominal and it was absolutely right. But here in second case, when it is age, SPSS was not sure. So in that case, it will show you these 3 options and you have to select one of them. So when your variable is numeric, you need to consider scale. Okay, always you need to consider scale when your variable is numeric. Fine. But when your variable is numeric in nature, but it is defining a category. Fine, it is defining a category, then you need to consider ordinal or nominal. Fine. Now to explain it more, let me take you to another PPT because it is very important to understand difference between ordinal, nominal and interval ratio. Otherwise, you will be confused while adding data there. See, whenever we are talking about, let me add one more slide here. Okay, this one. Now, whenever we decide about the variable type, you need to take in consideration that what is exactly your variable type. Accordingly, you can do the data analysis. So variable type is not only important for data analysis, but also important for SPSS. If you don't know the type of your data, then your analysis will be affected. Okay. So basically data is classified into 2 types. First is said to be numeric data. Numeric data, and second one is known as categorical data. Now, what is the difference between numeric and categorical data? Numeric data is said to be metric, which you can measure. Metric data. Okay, age we can measure 20 years, 15 years, 16 years. Height you can measure 5 feet. Length we can measure 20 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 5 centimeters. So these are metric which you can measure. Categorical data is non-metric. Non-metric means you can't measure. Fine, you can't measure it. Like for example, if we are having categories, gender. For gender, we have category male, female. So male, female are two different categories, but we can't measure them. Just what we can do maximum, we can find out number of males, number of females. Fine. Similarly, religion. So in religion, we can't measure anything, but we can consider coding, like we are giving Hindu to 1, Muslim to 6, Christians to 3, and like this you can provide some numbers to each of the religion. Fine. So their numbers are there, but these numbers are just for categorization. They are not for measuring anything. Okay. Now this numeric data is further classified into two types: interval and ratio. And this categorical data is also further classified into two types. First is said to be nominal, and second is said to be ordinal. Ordinal. Fine. Now in SPSS you will not find interval and ratio. For both interval and ratio, there is a single word which you have already saw. This is a scale. Fine. So if your data is either either interval or ratio, you have to select simply scale. But if you remember, for categorical, nominal is a separate category, ordinal is a separate category. We can go back to SPSS, and there you can see that here, like you can see here, when we are finding for a string, there are two categories: ordinal, nominal. Similarly, if you are considering this one, here you can see scale, ordinal, nominal. Fine. All the three are available here. Fine. So basically, when we are talking about SPSS, you have to take in consideration only three classifications: whether your data is numeric. If it is numeric, then it is a scale. Then you need to check if it is categorical. Then in categorical, you need to check whether it is nominal or ordinal. Fine. Now, how will you check that whether the data is ordinal, nominal? For that, you need to understand the definitions. What exactly is the nominal data? What is ordinal data? What is the scale data? Fine. So let me first take example of scale. Scale means you are having simply the metric data, and scale includes both interval as well as ratio. So scale data, like I took a variable age. So age of an individual, it could be 45 years, 15 years, 20 years, 6 years. Fine. So you can see age of an individual is a different numeric value. Okay. It may possible like there are 5 people whose age is same, like 6 years, 6 years, 6 years, 6 years, another person having age 15 years. That is possible. But you can see from this data, you can calculate mean, median, mode. All the central tendencies you can find out. You can find out average of this data. Fine. So this is said to be numeric data. For numeric data, you can apply any statistical tool. Okay, and this is the real data. No categories are there. It is a real data, real age of an individual. Okay, now let's suppose we are considering another example where we are considering age group. So first variable was age. Now second variable I am considering as age group. Okay, so what I am doing here, instead of considering the original age, I am asking the age in the interval. Sometimes people feel offended to tell their actual age. So in that case, what we can do, we can ask their age in the age bracket in our interval. They will be more comfortable to answer in that situation. So like first case, I'm considering, like suppose we are collecting data for the participants who are attending this workshop. Okay. So what I'm doing here, I'm writing here, just a minute. Okay, so what I am doing here, I am giving intervals like age, first interval 0 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, then 40 to 50 years, 50 to 60, and we are considering greater than 60. So total we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 categories are there. Now what I am doing here, I am assigning some numbers to these categories. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6. Now if there is a person whose age is 28 years old, so he will get, in age group he will get number 2. If a person is having age suppose 45 years, so he will get number 4. Okay, now I am going back to SPSS, and we can see here after this age I am considering another variable, age group. So again, age group, for writing age group we need to keep a underscore here, age group. Now age group is a number. You can see when I'm going to talk about age group of an individual, I'm going to assign a number. Like Ram is 23 years old. So according to the rule which we have prepared, here his age will be 2. Age group will be 2. Geeta is 34 years. So her age group will be 3. Then Riya Pratap is 45 years old. So her age group will be 4. I think it was 30 to 40, 40 to 50. Yes, it will be 4. Then again, this is 23 years old. So his age group is 2. So what I want to tell here is these are still numbers, 2, 3, 4. These are numbers. So when we are going to talk in SPSS, here you need to select numeric. Fine. Here no decimal place is required. So we need to put 0. You can see here I am putting 0 here. Then label whatever you can write, like age group of the participants, and now this value comes in picture. Okay, so what we are going to do here, we will click on this. When you are going to click on this, let me remove all these things. I will go back to this ordinal nominal again in a while. So you can see here, let me close this again and reopen. So now when I'm going to write down the values in age group, I need, by default it is none, but when you click on this you will find 3 dots, and when you will click on these 3 dots you will get this window. Okay, now what we need to write down, if you remember in the PPT we consider 0 to 20 as 1, 20 to 30 as 2, 30 to 40 as 3. Same thing we have to code here. So first age group we will consider 1 and label will be 0 to 20 years. So 1 I am writing here, 0 to 20 I have written here, and then you need to click on add. Fine. So what does it mean? It means if a person is having age between 0 to 20, he will get a number 1. Now I am putting 2 here. 2 stands for a person who is having age from 20 to 30 years. Or you can consider 21 to 30 years. Right? Then we are going to put 3 here. Then 31 to 40 years. Okay, again we are going to put on, click on add. This is now added. Then fourth category is of 41 to 50 years, add. Then 5 stands for 51 to 60 years. And then we are assigning 6 for greater than 60 and add. Okay, now all these values are added in this and we have to simply click on OK. Fine. Now let's suppose by mistake I did some mistake. For example, this one is wrong. है ना, यहाँ पे कुछ और लिखना था मुझे, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये 52 से स्टार्ट हो गया. This is the entry which I have done. But when I rechecked this, I found that यहाँ 51 होना चाहिए था, ये 52 हो गया गलती से. So what you will do here? Just click on this. Now two things are with you. या तो आप इसको पूरा रिमूव कर दो, आप रिमूव कर देंगे ये कंप्लीटली हट जाएगा, वापस से आपको 5 लिखना पड़ेगा, वापस से 11 लिखना पड़ेगा. या फिर आप क्या कर सकते हैं, व्हेन यू विल सेलेक्ट दिस, इसकी जो भी वैल्यू है 5, 52 to 62 ये यहाँ आपको दिखने लगेगा. आप यहाँ पे चेंज कर दीजिए. 2 हटा के मैंने 1 लिखा यहाँ पर, एंड यहाँ अब ये चेंज वाला जो ऑप्शन है, दिस इज नाउ एक्टिवेटेड. यू सिंपली क्लिक ऑन दिस. जो भी आपने गलती की थी वो नाउ दैट मिस्टेक इज रेक्टिफाइड एंड नाउ यू कैन क्लिक ऑन ओके. फाइन. Now missing values is not required. This column is not required. Alignment by default, since this is numeric value, 1, 2, 3 are numbers. Though they are non-metric, but they are still numbers. So ये right alignment show करेगा आपको. Now SPS is again confused. ये numbers तो लिखा है हमने, but scale तो नहीं है ये, है ना? Because 1, 2, 3 are defining category. They are not numerics. They are not numbers. They are categories. Therefore, you need to select either from ordinal and nominal. Now, to understand this ordinal and nominal, let me go back to the PPT. Fine. Now, as you know,
Tell us.
yes,
Hello, madam.
yes,
Hello.
yes.
Madam, one question. Suppose age is 35 is there. Which class will take 35?
35, see, according to the rule, we should consider here 21, 31, 41, 51. Okay, so 35 means you need to put there 3.
Madam,
If a
suppose 30 to 40 is there, one class. Again, 40 to 50 is there. 40, which class will taken?
Okay, so to make it clear, I need to tell you that when we do this frequency distribution, there are 2 methods. First is inclusive,
Yes, yes.
and other one is exclusive. Okay, so in case of exclusive, when you are writing the intervals like this, 0 to 20, then 20 to 30, 30 to 40, fine. So in such intervals, you can't include upper limit. Like if suppose a person is having age 20 years, so you can't include him in this first interval. You have to include him in second interval. This is said to be inclusive. Here you have to put. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, please. Is there any doubt?
No.
Then if we write the class intervals in reverse order, then
Pardon, please. Can you please tell
where
me?
we have written here the class intervals starting from 0 to 20. But
Yes.
if we write 60 to 50, 50 to 40 in the reverse order, the class intervals are there.
Yes,
And then
yes.
we have to decide that which point will be counted in which class interval.
Okay, if you are writing in reverse order, then also the rule will remain same. Upper limit will always be the greater one. Like if you are writing 50 to 40 and then we are writing 40 to 30, so the rule will remain same. Here this will be the upper limit and this will be the lower limit. But if you are writing this way, then this will be your lower limit, this is lower limit, this is upper limit. But in this case, this will be your lower limit and this will be your upper limit. Okay, so rule will remain same. Okay, so now I was telling you about the difference between ordinal and nominal. Okay, so ordinal and nominal are the 2 categories of categorical data. So categorical data, I hope now it is clear, it defines category. So categories could be defined by a number like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are simply numbers. They are also defining categories. And also we can define categories by some words. For example, if I'm taking an example of religion, okay, in religion I am considering Hindu, then Muslim, then suppose we are having Sikh, we are having Christians. So you can see here all the religions are equal. Fine, it's not like Sikhs are more senior in any way from Hindus, or Muslims are senior than Hindus, or Hindus are senior than Muslims. No, all the religions are equal. These are just differentiation. If a person is following Hindu religion, he is in this category. If he is a person who follow Muslim religion, he will be in this category. If a person is following Christian, he will be in this category. Okay, so when order does not matter, each of the category is equally important and order is not important, then the data is said to be, or variable type is said to be nominal. Fine. So in this data, if suppose I'm putting 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, or I reverse the order, like I'm considering 1 to this, 2 to this, 3 to this, and 4 to this, does it make any difference? रिलीजन तो वही रहेंगे, बस अब ये फर्क है कि अगर राम है तो उसको 1 मिलेगा पहले केस में, और अगर रहीम है तो उसको 2 मिलेगा. बट अब नए वाले केस में जो नया हमने फॉर्मेट कोडिंग किया, उसमें राम को 3 मिलेगा, रहीम को 1 मिलेगा, अगर कोई परमिंदर है तो उसको 2 मिलेगा. इफ जॉन इज देयर ही विल गेट 4. फाइन. सो हियर नंबर्स आर सिंपली, value is not important. Fine. Even if you want, you can write down coding instead of numbers, you can put H, M, S, C. This is also okay. Fine. So when your data is such that, your variable is such that where order is not important. Fine. Order, you can make any order. The categories are just for differentiation. Order is not at all important. Such type of data is said to be nominal data. We can take one more example like gender. Fine. Like we are having 2 genders, male, female. तो मैंने सपोज मेल को 1 लिखा, फीमेल को 2 लिखा, और मैंने ऑर्डर चेंज कर दिया, मेल को 2 लिख दिया, फीमेल को 1 लिख दिया. सो इट विल नॉट मेक एनी डिफरेंस. दोनों ही बात एक ही है. किसी को भी हम पहले लिख सकते हैं, किसी को भी बाद में लिख सकते हैं. ठीक है, both are equally important. Similarly here all the 4 religions are equally important. Any one of them we can write in any order. So this type of data is said to be nominal data. Fine. Similarly we can see again one more example like name. Fine. ये name हमने लिखे राम, गीता, रिया, अनुराग. तो all of them are suppose participant of this workshop. Fine. So ऐसा नहीं है कि गीता is more intelligent than Ram or Riya is less intelligent. All are equally intelligent, and these names are simply their identity. Fine. Names are simply their identity, and all of them are at equal pace. If you are attending workshop, whatever be your designation, whatever be your role, whatever be your age, qualification, does not matter. Okay. All of you will be considered at one pace. Fine. So this is again example of nominal data. That is why if you remember here in in variable view for name, we selected nominal. Fine, this is nominal. Clear? Now, nominal I hope is clear to everyone. Yes, please. Is there any doubt in nominal data?
No, madam.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Now we are considering ordinal. Okay, now taking example of ordinal. So ordinal means when categories are still there, but order is important. For example, most of us are faculties. Okay, so if in faculties, in our profession, we are having assistant professors, we are having professors, assistant professors, then we are having associate professor, then we are having professors. Fine. So let's suppose we are having group of 25 people or 40 people. Now we want to classify these people on the basis of their designation. Fine. So if we are classifying them on the basis of designation, let's suppose out of 25, suppose 15 are assistant professors, suppose 7 are associate professors, or let's suppose 8 are associate professors, and let's suppose 2 are professors. Fine. So now this is clear that person who is professor is senior than assistant professor and associate professor. A person who is assistant professor is junior than associate and professor. If a person is associate professor, it's clear to us that he is senior than assistant professor but junior than professor. Fine. So here still there are categories, but here order matters. Fine. Similarly, you can take the same example of this age group. In age group, if I am writing a person is having age group 1, so it is clear to us that this age group, a person who is of age group 1 is younger than rest of the others. Let's suppose Ram is having age group 1 and there is a person, suppose John. John is having age group 4. Fine. So it's clear to us that John is older than Ram. John is older than Ram. Fine. So this type of classification where again categories are there, but order matters. Fine. Order matters, rank matter. Then that type of data is said to be ordinal data. Fine. Now take one more example to understand it more clearly. Like for example, we conducted a test of a class and we have suppose 40 students in the class and these students are getting different marks. I just identified top 10 students. Fine. So top 10 students are having marks. Suppose first person is A is having marks 50 out of 50. B is having marks 48. C is having marks suppose 44. D is having marks suppose 40. E is having marks suppose 38. Then F is having marks suppose 35. So like this, I just have 6 students. Fine. Now these marks are the numerical values, original numbers which they obtained. We can convert these marks, I mean this numeric data into categorical data. Fine. So how I can convert? Either I can simply provide the rank to these data if your data is a small, like I am having only data of 6 people. Fine. So I can simply provide rank. So let us consider rank like a person who is getting maximum marks is getting rank 1. He will get rank 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So now we can see if I announce the name of F, let's suppose F is Farhan. So Farhan's marks are, Farhan's rank is 6. It means that 5 students are having marks more than Farhan. Okay. And if there are 40 students in the class, we can consider that rest of the, if his rank is 6, it implies that 34 students are getting marks less than him, and 5 students are getting marks more than him. Fine. So this is ordinal data. Rank is always ordinal. Fine. So now if we go back to SPSS, here you can see when we were talking about gender. Fine. The third variable we have included is gender. So gender is our nominal data. Fine. Gender of a participant is our nominal data. You can write here. Yes. Yes, please. Is there any doubt? Okay. So we can see gender is our categorical data, and that too nominal. So in the scale, I need to make change here. I need to consider it as nominal, not ordinal. Fine, it is nominal. But if you see age group is age group of the participant is a categorical data. We have defined categories here. 6 categories are defined. But this data is ordinal because a person who is having age group 2 is older than 1 but younger than 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So here you need to select ordinal. I hope this concept of ordinal, nominal and scale is clear to everyone. Yes, please. Is there any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So now we can see here next category, qualification. Fine. Okay, one more thing I want to tell you here. For gender also we can do coding. Fine. Like for example, I am writing M for male and add this. Okay. Now when you are writing M, so this you need to put, M is a string thing, character thing, so you need to put into inverted commas. And why it is showing error? Because you can see here I selected numeric. If you want to code it as a alphabet, you need to change it as a string. Okay, so when I change it as a string, now if I'm going to write here M for male, it will accept. F for female. Fine. So it's my choice whether I want to write F or M. It is your choice if you want to write 1 or 2. If you are writing gender as 1 and 2, then you need to keep it as numeric. But since I have used F and M for gender, so I have to consider it as a string. Okay. Now, in qualification, fine. So if we are talking about qualification, let us consider here qualification of participant. Fine. Now here also we can do coding. Let us suppose that one is a code given to a graduate, a person who is simply graduate. 2 I am giving to a person who is PG, postgraduate. 3 I am giving to a person whose qualification is suppose PhD. Right? And 4 I am giving.
academic branch में है या डीन academic है? मेरे को तो ये बताया था कि डीन academic में है.
Is there any question?
नंबर है 5919. हाँ. VC ऑफिस से या तो डीन academic में है.
Rajendra, is there any question?
No, madam. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Madam, sorry to interrupt. Now, if you permit, we can have a break of 10 minutes.
Sure, sir. Let me finish this topic in 2 more minutes, then we can have break.
Okay, madam.
Thank you, sir. So here we are having others. 4 I am giving to others and add. So now you can see that qualification is a ordinal thing. If I am writing that a person is having qualification 2, it is clear to us that he is more qualified than 1. Fine. And if I am writing 3, this person 3 is even more qualified than 1 and 2. But when I am writing others, so others is actually, in this case, we can't write others because in others, it is not clear whether the person is more qualified than PhD or less qualified. So what we can do here, you can have only 3 categories. I'm just removing this one. Fine. So to remove this, I just selected this and cancel. Okay, we need to select this and remove. Fine. Now you are having only 3 categories. So this type of data is ordinal Because if you are giving 1 to an individual, he is less qualified. If I'm giving 1 to Ram, 2 to 3 to Geeta, and to Ria I'm giving 2, and to Anurag I'm giving suppose 2. Fine. So now I'm confused, and here suppose for Ram I'm giving M, F, F, and M. This is gender, and for age group we already put some age groups here. Now I want to see M and F is still clear, M for male and F for female, but this 1 2 3 is not clear to me. है ना, 1 हमने किसको रखा था, अंडर ग्रेजुएट को रखा था या पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट को रखा था या पीएचडी को रखा था. So to check this, you can see this tab here. ये 1 to A आपको दिख रहा है ना. When you will simply click on this, it will show you original values. जो हमने कोड किया था ना, that coded value you will find here. Like it's clear now that Anurag is PG. It's clear that his age is between 20 to 30 years. He is a male. So if you want to see the coded version, again click on this. You will get the coded version. Okay. So after this, we will continue after the break. So let us have a break of 10 minutes. So it's 3:35. Sir, can we start at 3:45?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam. No issue at all. We
Okay,
can
thank
start
you.
at 3:45.
Okay, fine, sir. We will start at 3:45. Thank
Oh.
you.
Okay. So please be there.
अभी मुझे बैडमिंटन सारे शाम को लेडीज शाम को खेलती सुबह खेलती
शाम को डेढ़ घंटा जो है ना कोई मतलब नहीं है। ऐसे नींद आती है 10:30 सो जाता हूँ मैं फोन को फ्रिज में रख के उठता हूँ 6:30। हाँ और क्या पूरा गेम करता है देखा। कोई तब भी लगता है सोने के बाद रात में जाती है। नहीं रूटीन तो एक बन जाए पर मतलब एक आप 20 साल में खेल रहे हो, एक आप 40 साल में खेल रहे हो।